think that I have stopped and started this video 100 times. In fact, I have recorded this video twice already. The first one I wasn't very happy with the lighting and everything, which never happens. Normally I just go with it. The second time I recorded it, there was no audio. This is the third time I've recorded it, and a completely different day of recording it. And so maybe there's a reason for all of it. Today, I have nothing special for you. I have no herbal profile, no homesteading tip, no anything like that. I actually just came on here to talk about Thanksgiving and how even in the midst of a very hard year, we can still be thankful. And two things. I just finished recording a podcast, actually for you watching this now, the podcast episode is already out. But I just finished talking to Michelle Behringer from Farm Life Outfitters, and we put together a episode for you on my podcast called How to Be Thankful, or Choosing Thankfulness this year. Through all of it, through everything that's happening. And I want to direct you to that. It's in the description of this video for you to go check out. It's geared toward Christian women, but men are more than welcome to listen to it as well. And even if you're a non-Christian, you're more than welcome to listen to it. That's where I talk about more religion on the podcast than I do here on YouTube or even on my blog. It's just my outlet to live Christ freely. So I wanted to be transparent in telling you that. Second thing is that I wrote a blog post this past week. I've actually been working on it for a few months now, called The Beauty of Wait, like waiting for something, and I wanted to direct you to that as well. If you don't ever go and look at either one of those though, I wanted to kind of summarize it in this video because I feel like it's important this year to try and find thankfulness as we go into Thanksgiving. So this year might look a little bit different for you. You might be still quarantining or hunkering down and not spending time with your family members. Or you could be like us where you take some precautions, but you are living your life fairly freely as you were before. And for us, that has worked out just fine. I have said this multiple times. When my oldest son was little, he had asthma. And so social distancing, it's not what it was called then, is normal to us. You know, during heightened viral seasons or bad years, we just tend to stay home a lot. But in general, homesteading, we stay home a lot. That's kind of why we homestead, so that we don't have to go out to eat. We don't have to go to the grocery store. We don't have to depend on things and places in order to live our life. So we basically feel untouched. But I'll tell you what, and as I talk in the podcast episode in the show, this year has brought out the worst in people between politics and the virus and stress and depression and, just, oh my gosh, it's just been crazy. This year has truly tested people's character and brought out things, even in myself, that might not be what you thought they would be, you know? And so not only that, but people feel like they've lost their minds this year in so many ways. And it's been a hard year for me personally, not financially, not physically, but for me, it's been emotional and spiritual and mental. You know, the first thing is we've been dealing with my grandfather. He's in his final weeks, even, of his battle with cancer. Watching a person deteriorate, literally, right before your eyes is an experience that it's hard to really navigate until it's over and done with. We don't shelter our kids from anything, so for the most part. And so they've gone through that with us. This year, my husband lost his grandmother very unexpectedly. That's been something we've been working through. On top of that, as I mentioned in another podcast episode, I myself have been dealing with relationships, finding out certain groups of people or certain individuals aren't who they really ever portrayed themselves to be, you know. Find out they're talking about you, or they're saying really rude things that aren't true, or, you know, just petty stuff that happens. And it does happen. It happens in more people groups than you may know. But I don't have time for that. And so I've been navigating away from that. And, you know, and this year, it has just been an emotional and mentally trying year for me. But it has also been a year of vision for me. And I think that's actually what I'm going to make my 2021 word be, is the word vision. Because I want to go into 2021 with eyes wide open. But we'll get to that in another episode, in another video, another day. There are a lot of good things that have come out of the bad things this year. For example, people are being more health conscious, right? Washing their hands more, doing personal hygiene things they should have always been doing that apparently was not common. People are learning to research more. No matter what side of the spectrum you're on, people are learning to look up information for themselves. I personally have dove into more research and herbalism and health than ever before, and I've learned so much this year, making me even more confident in the lifestyle that we live and the things that I talk about, and it's really prepared me for putting this herbalism course together that I've been working on. This year I have what kind of word do I want to use for this? I have really been able to shun or cut off people or things or situations or habits or bad stuff that I do, because I've been more intentional about home living and our lives here, you know, at home. I've been more easily able to navigate life and relationships and things and get rid of the stuff that just isn't working, you know, which in turn gives me greater vision and more capacity to grow, right? Because one of my favorite quotes is, if you're not growing, you're dying. And don't take that the wrong way with the whole COVID thing, but in the gardening sense, if something's not growing, then it's probably dying, because it's this life cycle, it's this process of going through everything. And you know, we do that in lives too. We go through these seasons where stress and testing times show us what we're made of, show us where we need to refocus, and show us how we need to grow. What if we changed our mindsets to that? What is this year teaching you about you? What is this year teaching you about other people around you? All through the lens of grace, okay? We cannot forget grace. But when we change our mindset to that, and then we look at all the good things that can come from this year, personally, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, we start thinking about it and realize we have a whole lot to be thankful for. And so I want to encourage you, as you go into Thanksgiving this week, no matter what this week looks like for you, that you choose to give thanks. Because while media and people and social media, they tend to focus on all of the bad stuff, can I just assure you that there's still more good stuff happening in the world and in our lives than there is bad stuff. Media sells drama. You think of some of your favorite shows, the reason you like them is because they're dramatic. Media is the same way. But when we shut it off and we really start looking at our community around us, our family around us, our friend groups around us that we could be spending more intentional time on, we realize that life isn't so horrible when we just shut it all down and look at the stuff that really matters. If we shut off our TVs and look at our neighbor, you'll find that we're not all much different. A lot of us want the same thing. This has also been an extremely busy year for me. My phone rings off the hook all day long. It has been mentally trying in many ways because a lot of my work has gone virtual. A lot of the Homesteaders of America conference went virtual. It was like planning 2 conferences in one year. And there are things that I want to do with my businesses and different avenues that I could take. And it's given me more time this year to really start thinking about growth, not just in my own life, but in my businesses as well. And so as I was going through the garden beds a few weeks ago, we were closing up our flower garden beds. It really reminded me of this year and how this year is and how it continues to be for me personally. And I always go back to the garden and everything. The garden can teach you so much, even if it's flowers. And we cut down all the old stuff. It wasn't growing anymore. The old stuff wasn't growing. But what we don't see is what's underneath the soil. The tubers that go dormant. It doesn't mean that they're dead. It just means that they're sitting there waiting until the right situations and the right temperature and the right amount of water and the right amount of sunlight happen before they start growing again. And I feel like this whole year we've kind of been in that dormant state where we're just sitting here and it's something's happening, right? But then steps in the gardener. In the fall and winter, the gardener comes and cuts the dead stuff away, which is what we were doing. You get rid of the old stuff, the dead stuff, the stuff that has no purpose or no interest, and you can cut it down and off the tubers or the plants or whatever. You can use it as mulch, which does have a purpose. And then you go over your garden beds with straw or mulch or wood chips to preserve and keep together your soil and to create a safe and growthful habitat for the following spring when things come back up. This year, I feel like for me, has been my dormant year. I feel like I've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff I'm doing, but time after time, situation after situation, I'm cutting off the dead stuff and I'm getting ready for something new. I want to encourage you to kind of look at that this year as well. What steps do you need to take after looking back at your year and seeing your progress or your progress? What's holding you back? What is some character traits that maybe you need to work on in order to make that environment healthy again when it's time to grow? Are there some relationships that you need to get rid of? Are there some time management things that you really should prioritize differently? Are there family members that should really get your attention more than what you're doing over here or over here? When we evaluate our life this way, our mindset changes. So, my encouragement to you this year is to choose simple and to choose thankful this week. And to evaluate as we start coming to the end of the year, what have you seen happening around you and in your own life that you can grow from? The reality is that maybe we've gone through certain things this year because we are kind of shifting to a different path. It's a year of change. It's a year of differences. It's a year of sometimes things have to happen in order for us to change. And normally, chaos and testing and stress is what changes us and how we learn and how we grow. That's not everybody. Unfortunately, you could be one of those people who chaos and stress and heaviness depress you more than they do grow you. And I think a lot of us are in that state right now. And my encouragement again to you is to change your mindset. To think, okay, to get proactive. When we're not active, we start getting that depressing and anxiety feeling. So get proactive. This week I encourage you to be thankful, to be grateful. And if you don't feel it, it's fine, because Thanksgiving, the act of Thanksgiving, is an act. It's not a feeling. And when we realize that and we start choosing to be thankful, we start changing. When we start choosing joy, we start changing. Even in the least joyful times, in the least thankful times, when we choose the act instead of the emotion, we can change lives, including our own life. I wanted to thank you guys for being here and supporting the channel, supporting the podcast, supporting my website. If it weren't for every single one of you, of which I am very thankful, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know that you want to watch videos or listen to podcasts or read more blog posts. And so you guys have been consuming information this year. And that encourages me to make more and encourages me to keep going, because sometimes even creators and bloggers and YouTubers and people who teach, they can kind of get into a rut and feel stagnant and not really think that they're going anywhere, you know? But you guys keep it coming and keep wanting more, and that is encouraging, because I'm the same way. I want more information. I want to digest more information and learn new things. So I'm thankful for you. I'm grateful for you. And I want you to know that you are appreciated and loved more than you may realize, even if it's by somebody in a screen talking to you that you've never met before. If you haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all of those things. Subscribe to my e-newsletter, because that is the only guaranteed way that you'll get information from me as the internet and different things are being censored. Herbalism is especially being censored right now. And I hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. I am praying for you. I'm thinking of you. And until next time, happy homesteading.